Hey guys and girls, it's Guy here from BSUFX with another quick tutorial on something that I found really interesting on a project that I was working on recently. What I was trying to do is I was trying to move particles along a curve. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. First off, your obvious instinct would be to create an emitter and snap it along there and then create the particle or grab the particles and say volume curve. Okay, so that's going to create a force around the curve and it's going to pull all the particles along it, hopefully. But now what you can see is it gets a little tricky to try and tweak this to try and get things to work. So anyway, I tried this, and what actually happens is it goes here, and then when it gets to a corner, it like goes there and there and there, and it gets jaggedy because what's happening is the force is trying to change its direction, so it has to slow down and then speed up in a different direction, and it's just all weird. So I'm going to kill that. What I eventually landed up doing is using this function here in Maya under Effects in 2016, Flow and Curve Flow. I don't know if anybody's ever used these since, I don't know, the late 90s, but it's all these effects like fire, fireworks, little lightning, smoke, all that kind of stuff. These are all legacy stuff from way back, so people generally don't really use them because they lack the functionality that, for example, nParticles will give you. So now what's going to happen if I hit flow and curve flow, it's going to run through this and it's going to create legacy old school particles. Now that's fine if you want to just use particles from one end of a curve to another, and you want to do an instance or something, and that's all good. But now, say for example, you wanted to add end cloth and the particles to flow over the end cloth, or in here interactivity, or the particles to emit fluids or interact with fluids, or any of that kind of stuff that is possible with nParticles. You can't do that because it's the old legacy particles, and all the end caches don't work and all that. So what I landed up doing is I created this, which is, it looks quite similar, but it is actually nParticles. It comes with a nucleus. It uses the same emitter, well, the same type of emitter, and in here you've got all your dynamic properties, your gravities and drags, and you have all your cool shading stuff over here that, say for example, you wanted to do this over age. Super easy. If you wanted to do that in legacy particles, you got to go write an RGB expression and use ramps and stuff. So yeah, really cool. But now this functionality doesn't exist in Maya just yet because this code is just been ported down from version to version. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to edit that code a little bit and get it to output nParticles. Okay, cool. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the script editor, and we'll just get this back to the state that it was in. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create, in your script editor, I'm going to create a new tab. I'm going to call it, it's a mul tab, and then I'm going to go to where Maya references its scripts, because what's actually happening when you click this button is it's calling a mul script, and the mul script has a whole bunch of variables which you set here, and you say create, and it runs the script. So we're going to go edit that script. The script is under your Maya install directory, under scripts others, and the script that we're going to do is called flow along curves. You can see there's flow along surface, flow objects, which is right surface, and curve flow. There it is. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to create a backup of this. So I'm going to copy and paste this first off, and then I'm just going to call this underscore back. So now what this has done is it's created a clone of this in case I mess up something in here. I've got a backup so that I can just restore this, delete this, restore this back up, and everything will work fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this in here, and we'll left mouse button, and I'm going to go all the way to the top. So this is the script here. There's some credits and copyright stuff here from Autodesk saying please don't distribute, we are not responsible if you change anything and it breaks your scene, and blah blah blah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to scroll down until I see create particle object, and now I'm going to edit this little section here. So what's actually happening here is when you click that button, it's going to create these two variables, particle name and particle path, and then it creates your particle. This is the function that actually creates the particles inside of mine, with the name which is set here and everything. So now what this is doing is it's saying, okay, cool, create legacy particles. So we want to change that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say create nParticles. Now when it calls these variables all the way through, you can see here's particle path, again, it calls them all the way down. So this is the first time and only time it creates the particles, and then it just references these variables all the way through, which is quite nifty. Thanks Autodesk for coding this cleanly. So yeah, it's going to create nParticles, and when you call this function, it creates your nucleus and connects it, and everything works fine. Now the script is going to create all our expressions for us and everything to make everything work. So let's Control A to select everything, go File, Save Script, and then I'm going to call this, just copy this name so it's correct, flow along curves, save, flow along curves mul, save. Okay, cool. So now that's done. I want to close and open Maya so that I can reload the script. Cool, so we're back in Maya now. I just want to create a quick curve once everything's loaded. Just create a curve here. That's beautiful. And then I'm going to go Effect, Flow, create Curve Flow options. So let's just hit Create, and you can see it's created the little nucleus there. And here we go. Now it's nParticles. And it's created all the expressions that make it work. Yeah, and now what's going to actually happen is this will obey things like, if I come in here and make, I don't know, just a quick thing here, make a passive collider based on the nucleus, it's going to flow around here. So you can see it's flowing around just like any other nParticle would. It's going to interact with it. You can do self-collisions and all that kind of stuff. Interact with nCloth. You can do all the functionality that comes with the nParticles. So now, yeah, what's actually happening is, and the reason why we did it like this is because when you create the, when you hit this button here, this curve flow button, it actually creates a whole bunch of expressions for you, which is basically going to split your curve up into sections here. So based on your settings, it's, for this example, it's going to split your curve up into 5 sections with 4 subsections, which is like a smoothing amount between these sections here. And then it's going to create a goal for your particle between the first and the second one, and second and third, and so on. And it uses that to drive it along the curve, which is very cool, which means, because it means that if I want to change this curve, for example, it's now just going to update. It'll also, if I want to add a curve point, for example, and I don't know, pull that there, it'll just update like that. Which is amazing. To do this with volume, with the volume along curve function, is quite a nightmare, as you saw previously. So yeah, so the expressions here, if I was to come in here, I would have to come in here and go, okay, cool, it's created this expression based on what this particle flow object is, and then I'll have to create an nParticle and then connect it to the emitter. It's just a nightmare. So it's a lot easier just to let the script auto run from the function there. And now every time you click that button, say you got 15 curves, you can just come in here and go curve flow, and then do another curve, and then hit G, and you just get nParticles all the way to town. Yeah, so that's the functionality there. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. And yeah, I hope you got something useful out of it. So subscribe if you want to subscribe, like if you want to like, share if you want to share, I don't really mind. And yeah, keep watching and we'll make some more tutorials.